Greetings there people of YouTube, this is Essence40, back to normal as you can see. I wasn't planning on doing a video before going to Norway, but when I came across the video I'm about to show you, you'll understand why the change. Also, I hope you liked the new intro. I was getting too many complaints on the old one and its length, so for you guys I got to work. Anyway, back to the video. The video in question is Atheism and Morality One More Try by YouTube user Just a Match. It is a follow-up to his first video on the matter, which was extremely poor. I shall link both videos down below so you guys can go and see. As always, I have sped up the video in order to conserve time. With that said, let us begin.
Hello. So I'm making this video as a follow-up to a video that I made a couple nights ago on the topic of atheism and morality. And so if you haven't seen that, I would encourage you to watch that first. I'll provide the link in the description. And if you don't, then that's fine, because I know you probably don't want to watch another video of me. But it probably would help to make this video make more sense. But not, whatever. Yeah. So basically, I just wanted to clear up some misunderstandings, because I got about 40 comments or something like that, which I was actually kind of surprised, because I normally only get like 1 or 2 views, and it's kind of depressing. I'm just talking to myself, but so it's actually kind of nice to get some views. Or at least it would be if all of these comments weren't as silly as they were, because they were all all these comments contained either personal insults that were just dumb, whatever, and second, they contained a lot of making the same sorts of objections that I was responding to in my video, and so I just wanted to make this video to clarify my point that I was my argument that I was making in my last video. Because I mean, I think that was clear enough to anybody that's really interested in actually hearing what I have to say and actually having a meaningful dialogue. I think that was clear enough that anybody that's trying to do that would be able to understand what I was saying. But I still think that it could have been a little bit more clear. So,
Well yes, the comments were using the same objections you talked about in your video, as you didn't deal with them. All you did was push them aside with a few poor comments. Your objections were either very, very poor or not well shown. That's not the viewer's fault for your incapability. You presuppose that morality could not exist without God. Not that atheists couldn't be good, but right and wrong just couldn't exist without God. But I will come back to that.
anyways, most objections that I received, it was something to the effect, there's one common objection that I heard a lot of. Like I don't need the Bible to tell me what's moral. I don't need belief in God to tell me what's right and what's wrong. That was a common objection. Another one was people saying that that there's other reasons besides belief in God to be moral. So I don't need to believe in some sky fairy to try to be a good person. Blah blah blah. Those are probably the two most common objections. And so I think that these two objections, and then pretty much all the other objections that I received, were that they're all based on the same fundamental misunderstanding of what it is I was trying to get at in my argument. So my whole point in my video was not to say that that without belief in God that you can't be a good person. It wasn't to say that without belief in God or without Christianity or that without the Bible that you don't have anywhere to derive your morality from. I mean, there's so many people that were saying that it's ridiculous of me to say that that we need the Bible to drive our morality, that we need the Bible as our source to drive our morality from. Like, I didn't mention anything about the Bible in my whole video, so why would you? Anyway, so that's not what I was saying. I wasn't saying that we need belief in God, in order to have some source to get our morality from. I wasn't saying that there's no other good reason to be a good, that to try to be a good person and to try to be moral than belief in God. I mean, if atheism is true, I think it would make sense to try to be, a pretty decent person in society, because in our society you're not going to be able to get along if you're being a jerk, right? So, like you're either going to end up in prison, or people are going to be throwing vegetables at you and stuff because they hate you, or not vegetables, fruit,
Okay, here's the problem. They have not misunderstood you. You have been an absolute twit and not even checked what they said. You claim morality needs a God to exist, or there is no right or wrong. False. You explained it yourself. There are other reasons to be moral, therefore other reasons for morality to exist. Evolution can explain our sense of subjective morality all too well, without a God creating any objective standards. I'm sure you're familiar with evolution, so I won't explain the entire thing, but I will ask this. The survival of the species, what works better? Total anarchy with the individuals killing one another, or cooperation which has led to us populating a large amount of the planet? Ergo, our empathy and morals evolved. You do not need a God for our ideas of right and wrong. We can look at who is affected and what benefits the moral standard has. God is not required for the formation of the standard. I say formation, not practice, so I am covering the point you made in full, just as I did in my comments below. Carry on.
Yeah, so of course, there's other reasons besides believing God to be moral. Not, that's not what I was saying. That's not the point of my argument. What I was trying to say, my whole point was that if there is no God, right? If atheism is true, if this physical universe is all that exists, if it's just atoms and energy that's just going around, if John Lennon is correct, right? We're just a bunch of atoms bumping around. Then everything is meaningless. There's no meaning, there's no purpose, and therefore it does not make any sense to talk about right and wrong.
This is the point where I'm not sure if you're trolling or you're actually that moronic. I really cannot decide. What the heck has the meaning of life got to do with morality? And what the heck does God have to do with the meaning of life? There is a meaning to life. The fact that you only get one. Then there's the pleasure stimuli that you get at times of great happiness. The wonder of the world. Again, stop inserting your God. Play the rest.
Moral right and wrong is meaningless. They're meaningless categories given an atheistic worldview, right? Again, if all we are just a bunch of atoms bumping around, then what sense does it make to say that any sort of act is morally right or wrong? So when Hitler kills all these Jews, it's not morally wrong. It wasn't bad of him to do. It's just that he happened to be the more fit animal. It's just the way. It's just the particular way that atoms happen to be bumping around here on Earth. Whereas atoms bump around a different way over on Mars or in some other galaxy. But that's all it is. It's just atoms bumping around. It's not actually morally right or morally wrong. There's no such thing. Those are meaningless categories. If this physical universe is all that there is. So that's my whole point. It wasn't to say that you need belief in God in order to be a good person, in order to have a good reason to be a good person, or in order to know what's right and what's wrong. But I mean, in that objection itself, you're assuming that there is such a thing as moral right and wrong. Like when you say that you don't need belief in God to know what is moral right, what is morally right and morally wrong, you're assuming that there is such a thing as moral right and wrong. That's my whole point. What do you mean by morally right and wrong? Those are meaningless. Those are meaningless terms if there is no God, if this physical universe is all that there is, and that's just you're just speaking nonsense. Anyways, so I really hope that has clarified things. If I'm not really making sense, which is very possible because I don't always make sense, then please leave a comment. And I would really appreciate that if you leave if you leave a comment asking for clarification. I would actually appreciate that a lot more than somebody that's just going to name call and just use the same objections that I just responded to. So yes, so please comment if you would like to contribute to the discussion. If you are going to name call and just throw out the same sorts of objections, then I really don't have the time. I have a lot of better things I can be doing. So if you do either of those two things, I am not going to respond. I'm going to block you because I don't want to I don't want to waste mine and everyone else's time with your comments. So please, again, please do not do that. I really want to have meaningful dialogue. So if you if you don't have anything that can contribute to the discussion, then don't comment, please. Don't waste my time. Don't waste your time, or you'll be blocked. So anyways, that's it. I hope I made sense. Comments, thumbs up, subscribe, share. I don't know if I missed something, but yeah, have a good day, night, whatever it is where you're watching this, and I will see you in my next video because you're going to subscribe. Yes.
Firstly, don't you dare tell atheists what their view is. Don't you dare at all. Atheism is merely the lack of belief in God. Buddhism is an atheistic philosophy. I'd hardly say they have a meaningless view of life. Now, it's all good you going, don't respond with the arguments I've discussed, as you've not. You may think you have discussed them, but you have in fact failed. I especially love the way you attempt to slip survival of the fittest and natural selection alongside Hitler's eugenics and artificial selection. Very nice, but too easy to refute with a basic understanding. However, be careful, you're now bordering on a Godwin's law there. As stated, morality can be brought into existence without God. Look at social species of mammal when they come to our aid. They seem to have the primitive sense of morality. But fish don't. Insects don't. Just think about it. Well, thank you all for watching. Please rate, comment and subscribe. This is Essence of Thought. Out.